Hi guys, kind of sweaty. Here's what you don't know, okay? I've been trying to make this video for several days. I'm borrowing a friend's camera and it is a fancy setup. So I've got a nice camera, I've got the screen above it so I can see my sweaty face right now. I have a microphone that I did turn on this time around because I've learned that lesson, and a tripod, and I've got you plugged into a wall. I had to go buy the cord this morning because some piece of this setup wasn't working. There's a lot that's gone into this, and I think that it's appropriate because the topic that I'm bringing to you today is one that I care deeply, deeply, deeply about, and one that I hope resonates with you. Resonates with you? Yep, does that. No matter what stage of life you're in, no matter where you are seeing this video. And it's because we're going to be talking a bit about mental health. It's Mental Health Month, if you didn't know. I think that sounds a little gimmicky. I feel like it's just sort of a way for businesses to, like, I don't know, market in a specific way. But then I was thinking about how maybe my mom and my other mom, maybe I was raised by lesbian moms, if you don't know that, maybe their experience of raising me and my siblings would have been a lot better and a lot different if they had lived in a time when we had Mental Health Month and all of these little gimmicky months to post things on Instagram and ask about how we're doing and encourage people to take care of themselves. So this topic of mental health, or rather the topic of like depression, anxiety, suicide, just feeling so beyond hope that it seems like people we love would be better off without us, that is so close to my heart. And so I want to make this video for you to encourage you no matter how you feel. So you might be feeling light and sparkly and just like the world is forever on your side, or you might be feeling so heavy that it's hard to get up in the morning. And I have felt both of those things. And I would love to, take a little bit of time to lift you on your day and encourage you in the things that you're doing. And I guess I'll start by saying that this topic of mental health in its big, broad sense is something that has related to my life since before I was born. I have a grandparent and an uncle who both took their life before I got here. And then my family has just been riddled with mental health issues, and it's not their fault. It's just been a hard go. And I remember being 9 years old and having my first experience of what I now think was some version of depression, if that's possible as a 9-year-old. I just remember laying in bed at night on a regular basis and thinking, oh, I wish I could start over. I wish I could go back into my mom's belly and I could come out again, as if I had monumentally ruined my life as a little, fourth grader, though there was nothing, I hadn't done anything. I had caused no big harm. It's just, in my estimation, I had failed at something, or my life had been a failure, and I was already like, where's the hope? Where do you keep going? I remember a teacher must have noticed, this sweet, sweet teacher, and she kept me after school one day and gave me a book, The Little Engine That Could. And that is so sweet and like so sad. I hope that my own babies don't end up going through that. I remember feeling like that inside and then deciding that I was going to remedy it by becoming amazing at whatever the heck I could become amazing at. So I would overachieve in school. I would try to get any adult to like me. I loved going to friends' houses and making their parents laugh and be like, oh, she should be a comedian. I loved it. And I loved it because I assumed that if enough people thought highly of me, then I would also think highly of me, or I would lift whatever sunken ship was living in my soul. Fast forward, I was like playing sports, and it wasn't enough to be on the team, and it wasn't enough to be great on the team. I wanted to be team captain. I wanted to be attractive. I set out to be beautiful, and that sucks in high school when people are mean. And yeah, it's like my whole thing was, I feel low inside, so let me try to feel higher based on what anyone out there thinks of me. And you've been around a while, you know that that just doesn't work, because on one day somebody loves you and on the other day that same person doesn't, and you end up living this roller coaster of emotion. I was then a later teenager and struggling with things related to my body and my eating and my Yeah, I definitely was depressed again. And I was watching a loved one who I cared so deeply about suffer. Actually, two. And two women, two girls. I just don't want to talk about who they are just in case they want privacy. Watching these women suffer from mental illness, also from health issues in and out of the hospital, feeling like, wow, I can't fix these people that I care so much about. I feel pretty lost and alone in this world. Why try so hard to stay alive when life just sucks the way that it does? Thankfully, that was when I first started to explore the idea of faith. And I've made videos about this years ago. I actually haven't watched them in years, so I don't know if I'll watch them and be embarrassed or proud of myself. But I will say that this was a point for me where it kind of became spiritual, because I was like, is there something beyond what I see and feel right now that can anchor me, that can hold me steady and give me a sense of identity and purpose? Because I'm looking around at my situation and I just couldn't find it, and I was at a real low. And then it was faith that really turned things around for me. Faith, though, came in such beautiful ways. Like, there was this one family that allowed me to live with them. They invited me in. It was this woman who had been Mormon. She was going through a divorce, so she was like, I think not really welcome in the Mormon church anymore at that point, but she still knew, like, with her whole heart that God was taking care of her and her 5 kids, 4 kids, so many kids. At the time, I would have said probably 8 kids. It was a lot of kids in the house. I was one of them. I was a teenage kid, and I was so grateful for her input and her like wisdom and tender love. I will say that there's something about people who have been through hard things that makes them such good lovers. So be encouraged if you're someone out there who's going through something really awful. You are going to be so good at loving people where they're at and meeting them exactly where they are and believing for them, because you will have overcome whatever this thing is that you're inside of right now. And yeah, I think the wounded healer thing is very real. So anyway, so I'm living with this amazing wounded healer who's encouraging me in the direction of God and faith. And in her own life, she's like, I don't really know what this looks like, but I just know that there is a God who loves us. And it was really beautiful and powerful. Brings me to LA. I'm not here to tell you my whole story. I'm just here to tell you that I have walked very closely with depression and anxiety. Come to LA, end up meeting Sean. He's great. We get married. Awesome. How fun. We're working with this amazing nonprofit. We're living just such a cool setup. It wasn't always easy, but it was so cool. We got to travel a lot. We got to meet just the best people ever. Many of those people are still our best friends. And it was with them that we moved to Spain after we had our first baby. And it was then that I went into yet another totally severe depression. Oh yeah, and what I've left out is I was still overachieving. I was still like, will I ever not try to get a sense of validation from out there? I don't know. But yeah, we were living as like leaders in this one particular nonprofit. So we're speaking into people's lives and we're teaching people stuff, and I'm investing in the lives of girls and women, and I'm teaching them about beauty and identity and value, and it was so fun. And then I had my baby, and I don't know, a lot changed, and I ended up really super stinking depressed again. And I have talked about that on here. So if you're curious if any of this is like, oh, I want to learn more, you can just go look up like 10 days in a mental hospital. That is a video I made after I spent 10 days in a mental health facility, but I didn't sleep overnight there. Someone left a heated comment that was like, why would you say that when you didn't sleep there? I didn't sleep there. So now we've got that covered. The title is a little bit clickbaity, but I didn't make any money on that video. It's like a non-monetized video. So it's mostly just clickbait for the people who need the type of encouragement that the video will give. So I fast forward to all of these things. And with that stint in the little mental health facility, that one was one of my lowest times, because I got to a point in my mind where I really logically thought that the people in my life would benefit if I was no longer present. And thankfully, I was connected enough and I was open enough about these feelings where immediately I was able to get kind of emergency care and real tender love. And it was the whole thing was really horrible. But I'm some years beyond it, right? So I can look back and be like, wow, that was really amazing. People are incredible. And I am really grateful for therapy, group therapy, medicine that helped me at the time, doctors who were like, maybe it's this. And then we figured out. Yeah. And then I actually ended up not medicated. So I was told, and maybe I'm giving you too many details, but basically I was told that I was going to need medicine forever. I was also told that my kids would struggle with everything I had. And I was like, wow, that's the worst thing I've ever heard. That sucks. And now I am no longer on medicine. I was weaned off of medication from an amazing psychiatrist in Spain who was awesome. And I now just don't think my kids are going to have everything that I had. But also if they do, then I guess they'll have me to walk alongside them, won't they? And we'll figure it out. And I'm saying that because I also got comments of people being like, why would you have more kids if you know that they're going to suffer? I wanted more kids. And actually I didn't know that I wanted a third kid, but she came. She wanted to be here or something. The pull-out method is a questionable method. And alas, we have 3 kids that we are crazy about. And I have a lot of faith that they will be mentally well and we will be able to set them up to do better or feel better than I have felt along the way. I tell you all of that to start off by saying we struggle, whether it is a severe, debilitating depression or it is just a hopelessness that lingers, that sometimes comes and sometimes goes. I have been reading and listening to all kinds of psychology podcasts, and what I'm hearing is that now more than ever, people are struggling with anxiety and depression. This pandemic that we experienced, the isolation that we have experienced, many of us became parents and are more isolated than before. We're feeling flipped upside down. We've never been a parent before, or we've never done it like this. I don't know what your life is like, but what I do know is that it probably feels new, and there's a lot of it that is disorienting when you've never done a thing before. And so what I want to talk about today is some things that we can do to feel better inside of the life we are living right now. If you are feeling as low as I have described, I want to ask that you please get immediate help, because your life is so worth it. And there are even, like, you could just drive to a hospital and say, I'm feeling this bad, and they will help you right away. But yeah, if you're feeling like that, please tell someone. If you are just feeling like, I don't know, this isn't working, I'm not sure what's wrong with me, maybe I'm bad at life. That's something I felt, was like, maybe I'm just doing this wrong and I'm just sad all the time and I don't know how to get out of it. Nope. No, sugar, you're doing great. Life is hard. It's really hard, and it's also really beautiful, and there's so much goodness coming for you that it'll blow your mind. Some of the good things that you're gonna experience down the road are gonna be just beyond what you even thought was possible for your life, and I'm really excited. But for right now, there's just some basic stuff that I want to encourage us in so that we can better our lives a little bit. One thing that I learned in the book How to Be Sad, which is an excellent book and I recommend it, is that she talks about how people get depressed. Like, sadness is just a part of life that is a very necessary part in order to live as wholehearted people. We need the feeling of sadness, and depression is something that many of us will face perhaps multiple times in life, and it typically will go away after like 6 to 12 months. Like, it'll just, the way that things work, it'll just sort of come and it'll go. And I appreciated that, because that helped me know, like, if I zoom out a little bit, this is just a thing that I'm feeling, but it's not permanent, it's temporary, and we'll get through it. And there are some things that we can do inside of our really low seasons to feel better. So I recently watched the documentary Stutz on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. Though be warned, there's language that you might not want your kids to hear, but you might also. It depends on the family. Yeah, there's just some profanities. So we watched it after bedtime, but we loved it. Also, I watched it after bedtime because I wanted to really focus, and I have 3 kids, and if I watched it pre-bedtime, focus would not have happened. So good. He's a psychiatrist. It was made by Jonah Hill. Yeah, just great. It's like free therapy. Phil Stutz, Dr. Phil Stutz, is that his name? I just call him Stutz because that's what Jonah called him. He talks about this life force pyramid. If you Google it, you'll see the drawing of it that he draws. But he talks about how when you're feeling lost, the first thing you want to do is work on your life force. And so there's 3 layers to this. There's the layer of your body, there's the layer of people, there is the layer of yourself. And body just has to do with diet and exercise and sleep. And I will start there with you guys. So if you're feeling low or lost, start by looking at how are you eating, how are you drinking, are you moving, and are you getting sleep? Obviously, if we're a new parent, we're probably majorly lacking in the sleep department. And we also may struggle with our nutrition. Sometimes it's hard to eat, or we overeat, or we don't eat things that are good for us. We don't have time to eat. Maybe we're breastfeeding, and so we're really depleted of nutrients, and we don't find that we have a lot of moments to make food for ourselves. Start with those basic things. We want to get some more sleep if we can. Is there any way that you can get some more sleep in your life? Is there any way that you can eat better? And is there any way that you can add some movement to your day-to-day life to create the endorphins that help with your happiness? The next piece is people. And what he talks about is how even uninteresting people, even going to coffee with someone that you don't care that much about, has the ability to help lift you out of where you are and see things a little differently. If you don't have community, this is where I'm going to very shamelessly invite you to join the community that I lead called Very Good Mothers Club. So we have an online community. We also are getting ready to start local communities in different places hosted by moms. Maybe you want to host a community. Join our online group and get set up to be able to host moms in your area with our support. What we do in Very Good Mothers Club is have calls weekly where you can join from anywhere. Some people call in from their lunch break. It's via Zoom, so we can see your faces. People have their kids with them. People are showered or unshowered. You can look adorable, or you can look like you're laying in bed. You'll still be adorable, but you know what I'm saying. Come as you are and connect. There is so much power in connecting. Even if you're just listening to what someone else is going through, it has a really powerful ability to interrupt the things that are going on in our own mind. And even if it's just for a moment, it's really nice relief from the things we're feeling. And then the last piece is your relationship with yourself. And he talks about the power of writing. And he says, like, yeah, you might not be a writer. You might even be like, I'm not a good writer. I don't really have anything to write. He still encourages that you write. And as someone who loves to write and finds a lot of healing in my own writing, writing helps you to be honest with what you're feeling. It also helps you to identify what your needs are. Maybe in writing, you'll realize that you're very lonely, or you're feeling like you're not able to set boundaries with people you love. Maybe your life feels like it's not your own. You don't have anything that's replenishing you. Everything you do is for everyone around you. Writing helps you figure stuff like that out, so that when someone says, what's wrong? You're less likely to respond with like, I don't know, I just don't feel good. And more specifically able to say, well, I realize that I'm feeling left out. I'm feeling like I don't belong. I'm feeling like I suck at this. I'm feeling like I really miss X, Y, and Z, my job, my body, my whatever. And then you're able to, from there, start meeting your own needs. Another thing I want to tell you, which has helped me a lot, finding some supplements that can provide your mind with some relief. So ashwagandha, I don't know if you're allowed to take this, maybe check with your, I don't want to give you like medical advice and get in trouble, but ashwagandha is a supplement you can just get at any store or order on Amazon. And L-theanine, those are 2 that I take, and I honestly have felt like they help me a lot. And then eating, which I'll add that to the supplement thing. I have some people in my life who I love like crazy, and I constantly am like, how are you forgetting to eat? Eat. You crazy people, eat. Don't you have children? Have you ever seen a child who's hungry? They lose their mind. They are totally irrational. They are sad about nothing. They fall on the floor. They feel like they can't live. They go crazy. You know why? Because they're hungry. When we are hungry, we are not well. We are not ourselves. If we want to operate in full capacity, we need to be eating throughout the day and make sure that we are well nourished so that we can handle whatever the big things are that we're trying to handle. I'm talking for too long. I care too much about this topic. Hey, if you want to go like more personally into what you're feeling, you can either schedule a one-on-one call with me. I do that, or you can join our online community. And this month we'll be addressing some of these topics in our group calls, which are sort of kind of like group therapy. I know, because I've been inside of group therapy. It felt almost the same. So I'm not sure what the technical difference is. But yeah, if you want to do it, come join. Okay, I was walking in a garden last year here in LA, and it is really beautiful, and it has all these different botanical things, flowers and bushes and trees. And there was this one garden, and everything in it looked a little bit shriveled and wilted. And there was a sign there, and I wish that I had the sign to show you because it was so meaningful to me. But it basically said, contrary to how this garden looks, it is not dead. These plants are capable of surviving severe dehydration. So in the summer months, they wilt down so that they can survive the heat and less moisture. And then once they receive more moisture, they open back up again and get green. And I felt like my whole world made sense. I was like, oh my gosh, every new mom, oh my gosh, the drama. Every new mom needs a sign like that. And we need to remind ourselves often, hey, sugar, you are allowed to look like you're just getting by. You are allowed, you're supposed to. You just probably, perhaps, grew a baby. If you didn't grow the baby, you've adopted a baby. The process for adoption is so insane. Okay, you have a baby. You have gone through so much to have this baby, care for this baby, keep this baby alive. It's very likely that in your life right now, things are more wilted than you are comfortable with. You might not feel like your most creative self. You might be, maybe you're not a mom. Maybe this context isn't accurate for you. Maybe you're going through something insane with school or work, or you're feeling like you're surviving a really hectic schedule, or family members are sick. Whatever it is, you are wilty, but you are not dying. You are surviving something extremely difficult, and you are so resilient that you are going to survive. But you need to get through these hard months, and that might mean you might need to lower your expectations for what you are capable of right now, and just accept that right now, what I've got is to get through my days. I want to find a few things, a few goals, a few things that if I do this, this, and that, at the end of my day, I have done an amazing job. And remember, you are nature. You are not an iPhone. You are not Instagram. You're not racing against an algorithm and always having to produce something amazing. That is not what nature is. Nature sometimes has an abundance of leaves. Sometimes it's totally bare. Look at a tree go through multiple seasons. Sometimes there's fruit, sometimes there's flowers, sometimes there's nothing. You are nature. Whatever season you're in, it's not a forever season. Things are going to change with time, and your job is to be nourished. Just like with nature, they need light. It needs, I'm like talking about nature as if I really know nature, but what I know about nature comes from my experience of elementary school. And nature, you know, like a tree, needs light, and it needs water, and it needs soil for food, okay? You need those things too. And you also need some tender, loving care, because what we also know about plants, due to science that I didn't conduct, but there is research out there, you can Google it, that they even show that plants grow better when they are spoken kindly to. And so you, while you might be tempted to go through your days beating yourself up for all the ways that you aren't measuring up to whatever standard you have for yourself, what I want to encourage you to do today is be kind to yourself. Remind yourself that you're doing amazing, that you are so resilient, and that everything you're going through is temporary and it's meaningful. Maybe you need to take some time to figure out what is the meaning that you're experiencing right now. What meaning do you need to attach to this moment? Why are you going through what you're going through? Why are you raising these young kids? What's the purpose? It's not just because you have to, and even if it is, there's more to it than that. You are so smart and so capable. So figuring out, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is the bigger purpose for me here that's going to keep me going? And then attaching yourself to that every day when your feelings are all over the place, maybe when feedback from people is whatever, if it's good or it's bad, it's just not attaching ourselves to that, but attaching our own well-being to something that is internal and more within your control. If my well-being is attached to I mean, I can give you one that's really relevant to my life right now. If my well-being is attached to how well a video does on social media, then I am in for a roller coaster, because I could make an amazing video that gets no views and a mediocre video that gets tons of views, and one video that I'm kind of embarrassed about could get millions of views, and all of that's just gonna knock me everywhere. But if I say, okay, I wanna make a video that I'm proud of, one that if my person watches it, they leave feeling encouraged and a little bit more hopeful and a little bit more ready to face the day. That to me is a success. So it might get fewer views, but I have peace with myself that I've done the best that I can for the day. And then I get to go to bed and be like, oh, I did a good job. Even though my mind actually wants to do all kinds of other things, because, you know, I'm still a person. And I'm gonna end this because I've been talking for way too long, but if you want more of me, then stay tuned. There's gonna be another video next week. Or you can join the community and then we can talk in real life, and won't that be fun? Okay, this quote from Brene Brown. I really like Brene Brown. If you want something to read or a podcast to listen to or a YouTube video to watch, you could turn off my video and turn on an interview between Marie Forleo and Brene Brown. And Brene Brown says, don't walk through the world looking for evidence that you are not enough, because you will always find it. And then she goes on to talk about how acceptance is looking around and adapting to what other people want. But belonging is something internal that happens inside of yourself, where you don't betray yourself. You belong to you. And for me, that includes this element of faith of like, between the divine and me, I belong. And that is where I'm safe, okay? We are gonna every day be met with the option to look elsewhere, to find a sense of peace, to find a sense of validation, to feel like we're good enough. And if we choose to look for ways that we don't belong and we're not accepted and we're not good enough, we'll find it. But we have to actively try to remind ourselves just of all of the amazing things we're doing and the amazing people that we are and the people in our life who love us. And maybe one thing we could do is start outwardly acknowledging the people in our life who matter a lot, because if we ourselves are struggling, we can know for sure, no question, that other people are struggling too. And so, yeah, so one way we can be a light in the darkness, whatever that means for you, is to speak out light and love. I'm wearing the wrong shirt. I own several of these shirts because I like them so much. And I thought I just put on the one that was just in this video, but then I realized now looking at the screen that this is the wrong color. Anyway, the video, the ending got cut off because I talked for too long. But what I want to tell you is you're doing really good, and I believe in you. And if you need help, please go get it, because your life is too valuable to not get the help that you need. Okay, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.